Hello, my name is Jordan Andonoski. This is Damien Chan, Yosko Palat, Mohammed Hijazi, and Jordan Blyden. We are Group 25, and our project was the Balmain East Wharf Upgrade Project Management Plan. New Balmain East Wharf, we made of a steel floating pontoon, a concrete fixed entry platform, and an aluminium gangway. And the project management plan will consist of a risk management, schedule, cost, WHS and environmental considerations, site management plan, monitoring, control plan, and handover. On to Damien.
So for the risk management plan, a risk register was developed as the first step. The risks involved is the design, delivery, handover, and closure phases of the wharf project were first identified. Then the likelihood of the risk occurring was assessed, followed by assessing the consequences of the risk. From this, a risk level was produced using the risk level matrix shown on the following slide, where the level of risk involved can be seen. Some of the main risks involved through the design, delivery, handover, and closure stages of the project included design defects, environmental design risks, worker injury on site, construction defects, poor quality of construction or materials used, or poor project closure report. From those, a risk treatment plan was developed where possible treatment plans were made for the identified risks using a hierarchy of control measures that involved either mitigating, eliminating, controlling, or accepting the risks. A risk level was then assessed after the treatment options and control measures were put into place afterwards. On to Yosko.
To create a scheduling plan for our project, we must first make some assumptions. The table below identifies some assumptions. We assume that they work 8 hours a day, they work 5 days a week, all the pre-construction plans and approvals are approved on time, no construction delays due to weather, and 100% procurement availability. Next, for the scheduling risk, using the risk register previously shown, the most significant risks are prolonged design from defects, procurement issues, unavailability of resources, bad weather, and water conditions during construction. By adding contingency factors on timeframes of these risks, we can factor in for the schedule. Seen in the next slide, the simplified work breakdown structure shows the estimated time for each phase and the overall time of 6 months. Next, for the costing, to establish a cost estimation and overview of the project's associated resources and plant and equipment must be identified and are shown in these tables. Shown in the next table shows the costing for each phase and has been estimated against the cost of working rates, plant, equipment, hire rates, and materials that are used to build the structure. The table to the right is a table of identified threats or opportunities that could increase or decrease the costing. A markup of 30% was added to the cost estimate to add a contingency fund to give an overall project of $2 million, a profit margin of 23%. Next.
So, next. Work on safety considerations. So, some of the considerations include COVID-19, working around water, drowning, rust, pedestrian diversion and access, and plant operation. Some of the environmental considerations are water contamination, embayment contamination, toxic materials, flora and fauna, plant movement, and waste.
So the site management plan made some assumptions that it was scheduled consultation with the stakeholders, traffic controls for easy access, WHS inductions, PPE for workers, foremen and supervisors on site, environmental officers on site, amenities on site, provide some signage, and material and waste disposed of correctly. Some constraints are the water access, material selection for corrosion resistance of metals and concrete, plant movement and site access, local weather conditions, on-site storage for materials and equipment, services such as water, sewage, communication, power and gas, and drainage.
Environmental controls. So all waste material to be stockpiled and sediment control to be placed to eliminate any sediment runoff. The use of either sediment fence or coil logs are the best outcome. Any waste material to be carted offsite within 48 hours to prevent any ground contamination. Plant movement is to be to a minimum to minimize the disruption of flora and ground conditions. Masks must be worn when dealing with toxic materials, as consequences could be fatal, and any garbage to be thrown in site bins and not contaminate the water.
Next, we have the stakeholder plan. So we have stakeholders, UOW owners, architects and engineers, subcontractors, local residents and fair users, Inner West Council, and suppliers. For engagement, we were constant engagement in fortnightly meetings, consultations, emails, weekly updates and surveys, on-site inductions, workshops and consistent meetings for subcontractors, user survey to gauge public perception of the project and have an option for monthly newsletters sent out to residents. Following all guidelines and regularly communicating with the council through phone and email, and regular meetings and phone calls with suppliers.
Work health and safety controls. So you must keep a 1.5 distance on site to prevent the spread. Install access work platforms with handrails, wear harnesses while working over the water. So these harnesses attached to the handrails. Use only galvanized steel and galvanized steel reinforcement to prevent the steel from rusting as you're working so close to the water. Using pedestrian signage so they can to divert them around the project. Plant operators must have a VOC, which is a verification of competency, and spotters are always to assist the plant operator while operating any machinery. Site fencing is to be erect prior to the commencing of the work to limit any pedestrian access.
The wharf upgrade progress and quality will be measured by assessing how well it is doing against key performance indicators. The key performance indicators for resources are shown along with the standard that they will be held to, the impact if they are not held to the standard, as well as how they will be measured and how often they will be measured. Key performance indicators have also been identified from scope, quality, time, communications, and cost. Next slide. In order to make sure that the project is finished on time, each activity during construction should be assessed against the Gantt chart. Okay, next slide, John. Should be assessed against the Gantt chart that has been developed in order to keep the project on schedule. The Gantt chart highlights the critical path in red, and activities on the critical path should have special care to make sure that they are completed on time, as they are the most likely to affect the schedule. The baseline cost has also been approximated, and by allocating cost to each activity individually, the cost can be predicted and compared to actual during construction. Next slide. Quality assurance ensures that work being done is up to standard by requiring verification that quality systems are in place and are being followed properly. As long as quality assurance is being followed, the end result is likely to be up to standard. Quality assurance for the Balmain East Wharf includes using templates, ensuring workers are qualified and have received proper training, and checking drawings are to standard before submitting them. To ensure quality assurance is followed correctly and the project is up to standard, quality control procedures should be implemented to measure the quality of the project after work has been done. Quality control measures that will be implemented include statistical sampling, independent reviews, and audits to safety, etc. Onto handover.
The issues for operation readiness and project handover are late to completion of final checks and incurring additional costs, engagement of new staff, rectification work if work is not to standards of buildings of the wharf. Handover needs consist of issues and outstanding actions list, as constructed plans, operations manuals, guarantees and warranties, and training packages. Some issues when commissioning could be not having enough equipment for the smooth running of the wharf, missing any problems with the structure, as our needs for commissioning and closure are a formal list of completion criteria, confirmation that each criterion has been met, a list of outstanding business activities, risks and issues, a set of closure actions, and a formal project closure request.